Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishnan Nayak. Here, basically, the topic which we are discussing, that is a banking investment, and this is basically the live webinar. Basically, you can say live seminar. Basically, whatever you want to say. Basically, the words given by the set of groups. So here, one person basically asked question. Basically, that is Sunil. Basically, the all the around 1 crore software professionals basically are there who are basically giving the tax amount to the government basically. That is basically the income tax department basically. So here basically one of the person told that the sequence chain is like this. The private firm basically takes the money, the private firm basically gives to the government basically gives to the income tax department, and income tax department basically also might be giving back to the government basically, the set of governments basically who are basically into the power basically. And lots of people say that who are not into the power basically they handle the stuff, because who are in the power basically they handle the current work basically. So here assume that basically they are taking the tax money, they are giving to the one bank account which is given by the set of groups basically, whatever group basically who are handling the world basically. So they basically given the money to this particular bank account. So that is the one thing basically. So here one person told that banks basically takes the money. The income tax department basically takes the money. They basically do the investment to the particular sector basically. So it's a software department. So basically they give the money to the, sorry, they invest the money to the sector department. So income tax department basically takes the money and invest to the particular sector basically. So that might be tax box equal to 1,000 cities. So that basically one of the person told the text box is assume that basically it is creating vegetables. So this here basically the economics comes into the picture. So demand and supply. Assume that basically one of the demand and supply department of the India basically they told that the vegetable basically we are having very less basically, and vegetable demand is going to increase. So they basically invest into the vegetables basically. But that's the future plan basically. That's the future plan basically. So in future basically the stuff are going to be like this basically. So it's everything is basically the future plan basically. Everything basically is into the future plan creation basically. So one of the person told that you are basically currently working. So Sunil and I told that no, basically currently I am not working basically. So I am not basically into the tax department basically. Sorry, not paying the tax amount basically. So I am not coming into the tax table basically. Tax table basically is there, na? That this particular people basically are paying the tax. This businessman is basically paying. For example, TCS company basically collected the money. He basically told that basically I contributed this money amount to the tax box basically. They basically don't know basically. Indian group basically don't know. Indian group basically don't know basically that they are basically paying the amount to the tax box basically. So one of the person told that who exactly know basically here. So one of the person told the banks know this. Then one of the person told that assume that basically the SBI bank basically is giving the money to the World Bank. So SBI bank know that basically the tax box equal to 1,000 cities there. So one of the person told that for that basically they have placed Indian group basically. That is the World Bank president basically Ajay Bangar basically there to exactly know basically the how the things are basically working. So few people says that basically the banks basically are doing the verification, and few people basically say that basically the Indian bank basically are giving money to the World Bank. Few people says that we have basically created totally different bank only other than the World Bank. Like this also lots of people basically say, and lots of SBI group basically say that basically each and every local banks basically are connected with us also. Basically. They have basically one account, and in that account, for example, HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank basically one account is there in SBI Bank, and in that SBI Bank basically, sorry, in that HDFC Bank which is in SBI Bank, they basically gets all. For example, HDFC Bank basically collected around 500 crore rupees. So that 500 crore basically is one account of name of HDFC, and that is basically in SBI account basically. So that is basically comes to the corporate banks account basically. That also basically you can say. So here basically that is not the topic. This whole topic basically I already discussed basically in the few next video, sorry, previous videos basically. What actually bank is, what is basically IT industry. But here the thing is banking investment basically, which is ongoing basically. So one of the person told that Indian bank basically knows this, that tax box equal to 1,000 cities, and they are basically collecting the money from the 1 crore software professionals, and income tax department basically is taking the money, and they are again paying to the bank, and bank again is paying to the particular government basically, and government basically is paying, not paying, that basically is the concern basically. So they basically pays the money, but that basically depends upon the demand and supply. They basically pay the money. They 100% pay the money. They pays the money, but they basically don't pay that movement only. For example, currently basically the financial year money is collected. I am not into this basically because I am not working. So don't take me basically. So particular person basically paid the money to the government, and government basically paid the money to the income tax department, or basically the income tax department basically the paid the money to the banks basically, and banks basically are paying money to the world government, and government basically pay the money to the world bank basically. So one of the person told that here basically the recovery department basically of the India basically comes into the picture. For example, the in India basically why the earthquakes are not happening in IT sector basically. For example, in Pune basically why earthquake is not happening? Why? Because they are paying the money basically to the Indian government basically. That means basically the Pune, that is the NCP basically party basically, they are paying the money. Why? Because in Pune, Bangalore basically these all are the IT hubs basically. So they are collecting the money to the from the 1 crore or 2 crore basically software professionals, and they are paying the money to the government, and government basically 100% paying the money to the income tax department, and then basically the comes to the World Bank, and World Bank basically. So one of the person told that there are basically financial firms basically in this world basically who are basically doing this all stuff basically. That is 1,000 cities equal to text box, and that text box is connected with the human needs basically, and the human needs basically are equal to demand and supply. So here basically the topic was what basically? The topic is investment of the software data to the world basically. So here basically software data is what? The software companies, their data, their energy. So they basically are generating what? Human needs. So software vegetables, software fruits, software oil, software petrol, software human soul, software medicine. So these all are basically the chains basically of the software industry basically. So one of the person told that software basically, because the natural resources are basically getting over, so there are basically three human needs basically. Sorry, the three human types of needs basically. Human needs. One is natural human need, that is vegetable. Software energy, chemical human needs, that basically is the vegetables. Here basically I'm just taking example of vegetables. So vegetables are getting created from the software. Vegetables basically are getting created from the software chemical energy basically. So vegetables basically are getting created to the natural resources also basically. So from land also basically the vegetable gets created. And the third is basically the chemicals basically. In this basically the software does not come, the natural resources also basically does not come basically. So you can just imagine basically how one small basically the software investment basically. So here basically one of the person basically asks you, are you basically into the software investment basically? You are basically helping the software industry basically, so that basically the people do the investment. No, basically I am not doing that basically. I am basically just telling, because I am currently not working also, so I am also not into this software investment basically, because I have not paid the tax basically. I think I don't know how many years basically, because I doesn't come into the tax payable only basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.